All right, today we're jumping into a philosophy that totally flips the script on what it means to be successful. We're talking about a blueprint for action, one that argues the real path to an amazing life isn't about your job, it's about the work you do on yourself. Let's get right into it.
Everything we're talking about today really starts with this one powerful idea. Now, at first glance, that probably sounds a little weird, right? I mean, we're all taught to pour every ounce of energy into our jobs. But this philosophy, it suggests that where you invest your hardest work is what really truly matters in the end.
And here's the key distinction. Look, working hard on your job, that'll help you make a living. And that's important, of course. But working hard on yourself, on your skills, your mindset, your discipline, that is what builds a fortune. And we're not just talking about money here. We're talking a fortune in life, in opportunity, and in genuine fulfillment.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the core philosophy itself. Then we'll get into how to control your environment, the incredible power of massive action, and how discipline just compounds on itself. And finally, we'll wrap up with a simple choice that ties this whole thing together. Okay, first up, the fortune philosophy. The whole idea here is to completely shift your perspective. It's all about stopping the chase, that constant running after success, and instead learning how to attract it by becoming the kind of person that success is just naturally drawn to.
So what does that really mean? It means success isn't something you go out and hunt down. It's actually a byproduct of your own personal growth. As you build valuable skills, as you develop integrity and a really powerful mindset, opportunities just start getting pulled towards you, almost like a magnet.
And that idea leads us right into our second point, controlling your environment. See, once you decide you're going to attract success, the very first practical step is to take complete ownership of the world around you, and of course, your own growth within it.
And this is absolutely non-negotiable. Think about it. If you're just passive about your surroundings, the people you're with, your schedule, someone else's priorities are going to fill that vacuum every single time. Taking control is you declaring, hey, I am the architect of my own development. A huge piece of controlling your environment is making sure you're fueling yourself the right way. You've got to find what drives you, what really gets you excited, and prioritize that. This isn't being selfish, it's being strategic. That passion becomes the sustainable energy source that lets you tackle everything else in your life with way more power and purpose.
Okay, now we get to the real catalyst. You can have the perfect philosophy, you can control your environment, but without this next piece, nothing changes. Let's talk about the absolute cure-all for getting stuck. Massive action.
Massive action is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the physical act of moving forward. It's the powerful force that builds a bridge between your dream and your reality. Honestly, it is the single most effective way to get unstuck and start building real momentum. But here's the crucial detail. It's all about timing. We've all had those moments, right? A brilliant idea hits you or you get this sudden surge of motivation. That is the moment to act. Don't put it on the calendar for next week. Don't wait for the perfect time. The energy that comes with a new idea is so precious, and it has a very, very short shelf life.
And this is exactly why that timing is so critical. There's something called the law of diminishing intent. When you get a great idea, your emotion is high, your motivation is at 100%. But if you wait, if you don't act on it, it starts to fade. A week later, it's lukewarm. A month later, it's totally cold. And a year from now, that idea that could have changed everything is just gone. Action is how you capture that initial energy before it vanishes.
So that leads perfectly into our next big idea, the discipline compound. This is where we see how all those small, immediate actions start to build on each other to create massive, life-altering change. It's pretty incredible. The thing about compounding is that it works both ways. Every little letdown, every small neglect makes the next one easier. That's a negative chain reaction. But the reverse is also true, and this is where the magic happens. Every new positive discipline you build actually makes the next one that much easier to start.
Here's a perfect, simple example of how it works. It can start so small. You just decide to walk around the block. That little bit of energy inspires you to eat an apple instead of a cookie. That clarity inspires you to buy a book you've been meaning to read. And that knowledge inspires you to start a journal. You see the chain reaction? One small, positive action creates the momentum for the next one.
And beyond all the obvious results, the greatest benefit of discipline is what it does for your own self-worth. You can't just be given self-esteem. You have to earn it from yourself. Every single time you keep a promise to yourself. Every small act of discipline builds real, genuine self-worth from the inside out. Now think about the flip side of that.
A small neglect, like skipping a workout you promised yourself you do. It seems harmless, but it's like an infection. If you don't take care of it, it spreads. One small neglect leads to another, and pretty soon it becomes a full-blown disease of inaction that just eats away at your self-worth.
And all this brings us to the final and most crucial choice. After you understand the philosophy, the need for massive action, and the compounding power of discipline, it all just boils down to a simple decision you have to make about which group you want to belong to.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? If the steps are really so simple, go for a walk, read a book, save a little money, why isn't everybody successful and happy? The answer is, well, it's both a huge mystery and incredibly simple at the same time.
There's a great story that illustrates this perfectly. A speaker recommended a very simple, very short, inexpensive book to millions of people. It was super easy to find, easy to buy, easy to read. But what he found out later was fascinating.
His best guess? After all that, only about 10% of the people who heard that simple, easy advice actually went out and got the book. Even when the action was ridiculously easy, the vast majority of people just didn't do it.
And this seems to be a fundamental ratio in life. About 10% of people will do the simple, positive things, and about 90% won't. The reasons why? Well, that's the mystery. But the crucial part to understand is that these numbers, they rarely, if ever, change.
Let that sink in for a second. The numbers don't change, only the faces change. 10 years from now, that ratio is probably going to be the exact same. The only thing that's different is who is in each group. The opportunity to move from the 90% to the 10% is always there. It's always waiting for you to take it.
So really, it all comes down to this one question. The path is simple. Now, it's not easy, but it is simple. It's just a series of small disciplines, fueled by a powerful philosophy and ignited by action. The only question left for you to answer is, which group will you join?